You're welcome back, guys. I am Grace Renner, and we're still talking about everything you need to know about going on dates, the execution. Okay, so it's time for us to continue. Okay, so talking about the conversation aspect of going on a date. Number two. Okay, now it's important to keep it light and honest. Be very honest. Okay, because there's no need telling lies when you go on a date. Be as honest as you can be. Yeah, be discreet and all, but be very, very honest. And then also endeavor to ask open-ended questions, not a yes or no question, that requires a yes or no answer. Okay, so be, you know, also be very careful to listen more, especially as a lady. you know Listen, do a lot of listening. It's very important. I mean, listening will help you, to know more about this person. Even as a guy too, listen when they're talking. Try not to talk over the other person. Now, I've just listed, generally, but I want to give a little bit of detail. Now, number one, try not to dominate the conversation, whether as a guy or as a girl. Okay, when the other person is talking, listen. When they are talking, do not interrupt them. Okay, it's very rude. Even if you know what they're talking about, just let them talk. Listen to them. Do not do all the talking. Trust me, listening to someone helps you pick up on a lot of things. It helps you know the person. So when you go out on a date, pay attention attentively to what they are saying. Okay, so try not to dominate the conversation, especially as a lady. Just let them talk. Let him talk. Let him talk about himself. Let her talk about herself. You know, let them express themselves. If you have anything to contribute, when they're done, then you can talk. Okay, so number one, try not to dominate the conversation. Number two, be interested in him or her. Okay, make sure to make eye contact as you communicate, as you have your conversation. Make eye contact. Show that you're interested in what him or her is saying, or in what you've come up for. Don't be distracted by what's going on around you. Of course, when you go out, you might see some other people on a date or doing whatever, but focus on what you have come out to do. Focus on your date. Make eye contact. I mean, even making eye contact with someone helps you to even tell when they're telling lies or when they're not completely honest about a particular thing that they're talking about. They always say that this part of the body does not, doesn't, you can tell a deceiver just by paying attention to this part of their body. Okay, their eyes, how they move their eyes when they're talking, what they look, how, really just paying attention, looking, making eye contact with this person will tell you if they're being honest. Okay, and apart from that, it just shows that you're interested in what the person is saying or interested in the person. Now, another thing not to do is your phone. Keep your phones away when you come out on a date. It just shows that you're not interested in the person, and it can be very disrespectful. You're out on a date and you're pressing your phone. A lot of people do it these days. It's very rude. Even if the person is talking too much and you don't like what the person is saying, or you're not interested, please keep away from your phone. You have come out. If you have to end the date, it's fine, but to pick up your phone and you are texting or chatting while you're on the phone on your date with somebody is very rude. Now, I'll give you a personal example. I went out on a guy invited me out on a date, and throughout the date, this was in 2014. Yes, I had a lot of experiences in 2014. This was in 2014, and you know, throughout the date, he was on a phone call. Maybe we were there for like 1 hour 30 minutes, and throughout he would say, sorry, sorry, it's my mom. He would talk, and he was just talking on the phone. He would tell me to excuse him. He would step away for about 10 minutes. He would come back. He ordered the food. I ate the food. His own was there. He had to tell him to pack it. He never sat down for a minute to have a conversation. I felt really bad. I'm like, why did this guy call me out to waste my time? He was on the phone all through. Even when he ended the call and came to sit down, he was still pressing his phone, pressing his phone. He later I was like, sorry, excuse me, I want to go to the MTN office downstairs. My phone is having. I'm like, later I was like, sorry, I have to go. So when he was taking me to where I parked my car, someone else called me, and I was like, I made sure to throw it in. I told the person, I said, sorry, can I call you back? I'm out with somebody, and it's been very rude of me to be on the phone for too long with you. and I needed him to hear it because that was how I felt. I felt very disrespected, and I had to say it so that next time he would not do it to somebody else. Okay, so as much as possible, show this person that you're interested in the person. I mean, think about it. Why did you call me out on a date if you were going to be on a call with your mom for almost an hour, 30 minutes? That was really rude. That was very uncalled for. You didn't need to call me out, okay, on a date. For what? Do you understand? So please don't do it. It's rude. Don't use your phone when you are on a date. Keep it away. If for any reason you have to make a call or receive a call and it's important or urgent or it's an emergency, apologize. Say, oh, sorry, oh, I need to take this call. Maybe it's my boss or it's my mom. Or let the person on the other end know that you're out on a very important thing. Oh, please, can we make sure it's no more than 30 seconds or 1 minute? Oh, sorry, I am out with somebody. Can I call you back or whatever? And if you do not have to stand up to receive the call, you can answer in front of the person and say, oh, sorry, I am out on a date with somebody. Can I call you back? It just shows that you're a polite person. The other way around shows that you're a rude person, and that's not what you want to give off on your first date. So as much as possible, show that you're interested in the person. Make eye contact. Focus on the person that you have come out to be with. Okay. Number 3, do not talk about sex on your first date. Now, I want to believe that you are at a stage of your life where you're serious and you're looking to be married, and that these dates you're going on at because you're possibly looking at taking the relationship or the dates to another level, and you are looking at marriage as a picture. Now, marriage is God's idea, and there is a way that God expects us to go about it. Having sex before marriage is not on God's agenda. Sex itself, or making love in marriage, is the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so talking about sex on your first date already sends the wrong impression to your date or to the person you've gone out with. Now, it makes you look like an unserious person. Okay, if also you want to talk about sex, let it be when you guys get to know each other, and you're not talking about sex because you want to have sex with the person, but because you're looking at it from the marriage perspective, or planning ahead, okay, or talking about it ahead even before marriage, not because you're looking to have sex with the person. Here I talk about handling relationships the God kind of way. Okay, it's not right in God's eyes for you to have sex before marriage, so you shouldn't even be having that kind of conversation on your first date. Like I said, of course you're adults, so you would want to have some conversations, but wait, when you guys get to know each other, you can now talk about it based on marriage, your perspective, not because you are trying to suggest to the person that you want to get laid, or you want to sleep with the person or whatever. Okay, so that's what I mean. Do not talk about sex on your first date. You can talk about there are so many things. In fact, I'll still share with you what you can talk about on your first date, but avoid talking about sex. It makes you look like an unserious person, and it just drives home a point that you are not ready, or you're not looking at marriage. And of course, you know what the Bible says: marriage is a blessing, bed undefiled, clearly saying that you should get married first before you have sex. Okay. Number 4, pick your words rightly and be polite when you go on a date. Okay, it's not a time to start insulting your date or making some derogatory comments, or looking down on them, or saying some things that might come off as rude. It's very discourteous of you to start to use foul words on your date. Okay, so pick your words rightly, be polite, be nice, be kind with your words. And if you're one that is given to sarcasm, observe the countenance of your dates. If they are not enjoying your sarcasm, cut it off. Do not make jokes on somebody else. If you must make jokes, make it about yourself. Laugh at yourself. Don't laugh at your dates. Okay, it's embarrassing. You might put the person in a very awkward, uncomfortable position, and it might tamper with the person's self-esteem. Some people do not know how to take jokes about themselves. So if you want to make jokes on your first date, make it about yourself. If you want to establish yourself as a funny person, let your joke be centered around yourself or your experiences, not about the person. Don't be sarcastic if you see that the person, some sarcasms are funny and interesting, but it's not. If different people, different personalities, some people might not really enjoy sarcasm, especially when it's somewhat derogatory. So try your best to be sensitive to the other person. Be polite, pick your words rightly, and just enjoy your date, enjoy the person's company, but most importantly, be sensitive to one another, be sensitive to the person, be polite to the person. Number 5, avoid talking about your exes. Now, no matter what it is that they have done to you in the past, no matter how hurt you felt, it's not on your first day that you want to start pouring out on your date that, oh, look at my ex, look at what he did, look at what she did. Okay, so as much as possible, because you might be sending the wrong impression, the person will start to think, oh, can I really please this person? And you don't want to give that kind of impression that you're not someone that can be pleased. And apart from that, you do not want to spoil the energy. Keep it positive. That's not a time to start looking for pity party or playing the victim. Okay, so avoid talking about your exes. Apart from that, if you talk about your exes, whether you talk about the good side of them, you might also be sending an impression that you have not gotten over that person. Okay, so as much as possible, you want to leave the past in the past and focus on the now, the present, the person whom you have come out to be with. Okay, so avoid talking about your exes, no matter whether it's on the good side or on the bad side. You have not come out because of your ex, you have come out because of the person in the now, that person whom you are looking to take to the next level. Okay, so leave every talk about your ex. Okay, so I've just finished talking about 5 things to consider in terms of conversation when you go out on a date. Now, before I go, let me leave you with this: 5 things that you can talk about, or 5 questions that you can ask your date to make your date fun, interesting and positive. Okay, so although when you want to go on a date, it's also important to ask people around, what can I ask this person, or research it. What are things that you can ask on the first date? But for me, I would share with you like 5 that you can ask your date when you go out on a date, just to keep the energy right, to keep the conversation positive, to know more about the person, to listen to the person and see if there's a possibility of a further taking a relationship further. Okay, so number 1 question you can ask is, what are your dreams? What are your aspirations? Where do you see yourself in 5 years time? Questions like this will help you know if you guys can be compatible, if you guys complement each other, and to see if really what it is they want to do with their lives. Okay, some people do not have dreams or goals or anything like that, and you see these are things that you should look out for. Okay, so ask them their dreams, their goals, their aspirations, where they see themselves in 5 years time. Then you could also ask, what do you do with your free time? Now, these questions like this will also help you know if what their priorities are. Some people will tell you that, oh, I work on Sundays. You don't want to say, oh, don't ask what would you like to do with your free time, because they might want to say, oh, I'd like to hang out with you again. No, this is about you getting to know who they are honestly. Just say, oh, what do you do with your free time? So they'll tell you, oh, I go to work, even on Sundays I'm not free, or things like that, whatever. But ask them, what do you do with your free time? Okay, then you could also ask them questions about their most treasured moments, things that will make them happy. I've had too many treasured moments, and when I talk about them, you see me, I'm all smiles and everything. So these are things that your date might want to share with you. So ask them, your most treasured moments. Also ask them, if you had a choice, say, to meet one of your icons or your mentors, who would that be? Like me, Tara Banks she's my icon, she's my mentor. I want to talk about why I want to meet her. I want to talk about her. It'll be an interesting thing to talk about. Okay, so there are some people like that. There are some people that have people that they, in their hearts, they are dying to meet. Just talking about it alone will make them feel good. It'll also help you know who they are, what they're seeing, and things like that. Lastly, number 5, you can ask them, what would a perfect day constitute for you? What would a perfect day be like for you? What would it mean when you say you've had a perfect day? You understand? It will make them talk about, what a perfect day means to them, and it will keep the energy positive, it will keep the conversation positive, and it will help you to know who they are on the inside as you guys have this conversation. And like I said, it's important to listen. Now, there are some conversations that you should not even go into. For instance, marriage. or children or childbearing or whatever. Avoid it. Now, in some cases, some people might bring it up. Maybe the man's idea really is to be married to. Maybe you guys were introduced by somebody and the person said, "This is why I've brought you guys together, marriage." But really, ideally, self, I would not even suggest that you start talking about marriage and children on your first date. Start your first. You just need to know each other. You just need to talk about interesting things. Things that mean a lot to that person. So avoid conversations that might put the person in a sad place. For instance, don't ask them, "Well, have you ever lost a sibling?" or "What's your saddest day, your saddest moment?" Those things are not, they're not relevant for a first date. Okay, as much as possible, you want to keep the energy positive, you want to keep it right, you want to make the conversation as interesting as possible. And the whole idea is to listen to that person and to know exactly how they see things, what they see, and see if you fit into the person's life in any way. Okay, so these are just a few questions that you can ask to spice up your dates. Like I said, you could Google it. Ask Google, what can I ask my date on the first day? Ask an older person to advise you, because the idea of going on dates is to get to know the other person better. On this note, I rest my case. Thank you so much for sitting, and listening, for hanging out with me or standing, whatever you're doing, for considering, excuse me, spending this quality time with me. Okay, we're still on the everything you need to know about going on dates series. Okay, so in our next episode, we will talk about the final aspect of everything you need to know about going on dates. Okay, so I remain Grace Renner. Please, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, do subscribe. There's so much I want to share with you, and I'd like for you to be the first to get notified whenever I post a video. Okay, so thank you so much once again, and see you next time.